You gonna run over there, turn around and say that? Who you talking to? Who you talking to? Who you talking to? What I got? My cat doing a handball. Got your handball, handball. That's the spot. I know that feels good. Okay, here we go. Fresh water. I'm looking at my jug. That's coconut. That's coconut. It's expensive. Also, you drink coconut water, you'll be. I don't know. I know you can't have limes because limes are toxic, poisonous. You was lucky when you took sipping out of my cup. Charcoal helped, didn't it? I only think you could have coconut water. Now you want to lay one place. Stop playing with my shoelaces, boy. What you doing? You tired? That's my papa. Oh, he's just laying all over the books. Yeah, that's my boy. He loves when I take his little collar off. So it's like, oh, turn it on low. I think that was too much before. That's good enough, I believe. Yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and get into reading, guys. Some good background music. All right. I worked out a little bit. Yo, I'm pretty loopy. Not loopy like, just, you know what I mean? I didn't push it. To get a lot more calisthenics, bands and stuff that I have for my physical therapy. I went to like several physical therapies. 5 or several. I didn't count. I lost count. A lot of them. Okay. And so I used the bands, and I got stuff from boxing days that I still use. Dexterity, coordination, eye hand, brain manipulation and remembrance. Muscle memory stuff. And of course, I've been working my 3-sectional staff. I got my butterfly and dragon size. I like the butterfly. I did those during the cultural fairs in Jacksonville, Florida. Cultural affairs for like with Grandmaster Cam Lee, Five Ancestral Kung Fu. I did the butterfly swords, and I did, of course, I've been doing nunchaku all my life. I can work those. Do sexual staff, I just do forms. I don't go all beyond wushu type flopping around and jumping around and all that. I tell you, I can knock a cigarette out your mouth. I can take your teeth with it. Pretty good. I've been teaching myself the whip, the ball and spear, the whip. That's because I use low kicks now. I don't be kicking all over people's heads and trying to mess my back up and stuff. But my boy David Bell and a lot of other people, Peter Jones and all those guys, to tell you, but I used to hold the arch up so high because I can do splits and Russian splits. Well, not right now. Like I can, but I'm not going to force it. So I was down there just mitigating those factors. And I have this McAwar pad and I have an iron palm bag. So I punch them. Now my knuckles aren't bruised. They're big. They used to be kind of calloused and beat up. And so I had to go through the coconut and the butter and all that and to get them a little softer. But they used to be real. Right here, when I'm looking at it, you can see they're very dark. You probably can't see it now, but you can see it's a little red from when I was down there doing what's called, what was it, 1050 strikes? And then my palm, working on that, keeping everything just kind of hard, you know what I mean? And I get these jugs of water like this when they're brand new before I, let's still share this with you. You can try too. Before when it's full, I grab two and I walk around holding it on my side. I just walk around. My forearm right now is burning. Downstairs, they're by the door. I grab them and I squeeze them and I just walk, hanging them to my side. And everybody's looking, going, I can't even hold that by the top. And I literally squeeze them very hard because I have the Eagle Claw exercise thing. So I have two of them. So I sit here and I do it until my hands go numb. So I gotta keep a good firm grip. You know what I mean? But so everything on me right now is pretty. So cold water. I put on the same drawers and stuff, but I jumped into cold water for like 5 minutes. Just all the way cold. I think it's below 48 degrees. I'm serious because I got in there. I did my best to keep it low because every time I get in cold water, I do that. I don't care. If I go to Wild Week more in cold water, I'm spider fingers and everything. But I go in, head under, and I sit there sometimes 10, 15, like hypothermia, like come out, like that. I love it though. But I jumped in the cold shower because it was so hot and so muggy. It rained yesterday, and this is a pretty dry area. And don't talk to yourself. Anyway, he's talking smack. Anyway, because he laughs. I have the door wide open, and he just looks at me while I'm, And I had with swimming trunks. I didn't go in the bathe. I just swimming trunks and got in the cold water. Went crazy for about 5 minutes. And I came out. So I cooled off pretty much because I was sitting here sweating, man, reading. And now I went and watched Guns and Gadgets, and I shared that with my brothers, I think, and some other thing I shared. But I don't take those things to remembrance. Then I always read comments. So we had the one guy, Enrique, whatever, the Sminky Smack, who didn't even know what he was talking about. Doesn't know that I was a pre-med. I'm a gardener. Been growing stuff all my life. I'm not gonna say an inventor. So people will come over here and comment, but no knowledge of anything, no knowledge of who they're commenting with. You can't go talking to a special force operator or a special forces member who's usually ODA. Those are special force guys. SEALs, Rangers, and all those other guys, MARSOC, those are special force operators. There's a big difference. And you can't go talking to them about combat as far as their training and what they've had to do, whether it be 2 to 6 to however many tours. You can't do it. It's like nobody can talk to a drug dealer if you're not a drug dealer, whether you're a good one or a bad one. Really, there's no such thing. Just drug dealers are not right at all. I was one, so I should know. Let me show you all this. And so I got another charge handle because I'm building an AR-10. So the AR-15s I'm building too. This right here, it looks like an AR-15. See that little groove right there, how it curves up? This is for an AR-10. So I'm waiting for the the barrel and the housing and all that. And the lowers, I'm gonna buy 2 lowers next month. I'm not gonna sit here and waste money I need. So I finally, I got this in. So I got to take this and sight it in and everything. I got the chromium. I got the bolt. I'm waiting on the right which call for this, because the one that I have is actually for a 22 inch, like a, you know, like an M16. Those are, I think, 22 inch, or not 18, 20 inch or something like that. Both shooting the center far. This right here is 16. So I'm gonna flash the flash. I'm gonna change this one out. I got a nice one, and so when I get that, I'll show y'all what it looks like. So I really like this. It's not a steep one. You can still carry it. You just got to be smart. Up and down, right and left. So I'll sight this in with the hard sight tomorrow. I have the lower for this that I just got through trial and tribulation putting in a new trigger. Oh my goodness, this trigger. It comes from a kit I bought about a year and a half ago in Utah. That Bullseye, it's a $400 kit. So I was going to make it all red because it's red, and because of the gas tube would be sticking out, and I didn't want to shorten it from this one, which is 12 inch, to a 10 inch. And then I was like, well, I got an 8 inch one. I believe I have an 8 inch one. But anyway, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to leave this as it is. And just, I'm going to put a buckstock that's kind of more remembrance of, you know, the M16 or M4. Well, M16. So thought I would share that with you. So let's go ahead and get into reading. And I see a lot of people are talking about GMOs and don't know the first thing about it. Look, let me share this with you, because some of y'all are new. Let me share this with you. Pale skin, you're melanated, just not as much. Dark skin, you're melanated. I don't care about none of that. I care about my tribe, my people. Relax, Papa. Okay, I know your next issue. All right, feels good. If you want to eat that crap, be my guest. If you're brought up in the delusion that it's fine as well because you're youth, let me advise you to something. When I was growing up, we didn't eat that crap. All right? When we fell down and we broke something, we didn't have therapists and we just had somebody reset it, wrap it, taking your butt to school tomorrow. We didn't have a out all night and cry and wham and make noise without our butts tanned. No, we were literally outrunning the old-fashioned, I don't think they have them anymore, street lights that would come on every block. Clink, click, you could hear them. And we run. Every morning, long before school, we would go out and run 1 to 2 miles, then deliver newspapers. You know, at 12 and 13 years old, with Mr. Peanut and all these other individuals in their vans who could have took advantage. Then after school, like me, at 13, Mount Hebron, I worked at Mary Flannery's art store. All the way, and did homework for the first hour I got in there, and then came and worked, working the register and everything else on the books. Then I made my, well, see, I was, where people, Boy Scout, Cub Scout, then I became Boy Scout and Eagle Scout. And then made the meetings. And then and at the same time, I played in between, and I went home and I ate my last supper, got a bath. As long as I ain't doing nothing wrong, I had to get my behind tan. And if needed be, to chop wood, to salt some pork and some beef and some fish, and put it in the barrels downstairs in the big basement we had with 3 or 4 rooms in it, and a bomb cellar. So don't come over here with your little millennial or whatever you want to call it yourselves, like you know something, because you don't know nothing. I'm here to inform you to something, to look into something, to gather something. I'm not here to say, do this, do that. It's your choice. And if you want to eat GMO crap, bioengineered food, as if it's safe, be your own guest. Be retarded if you want. And I'm going to call your names. You ain't heard the first. You better go back and look at some of them videos that make some of you go like this. All right? So let's go ahead and get into George Jones, An Original History of Ancient America. These people are funny. Don't know nothing and you want to talk a whole lot. That's this generation. One. That's all y'all do. But don't know half of what you're saying. You don't know the truth of history. You know exactly what they want you to do, and then you'll fight to the death for that. And stupidity. Unbelievable. And then you won't even come on here and comment. You'll wait until everything's gone, comment as if nobody else was reading. I've already had 3 people going, who is that idiot? They're not going to sit there and talk to you because they're bigger than that. They're bigger than that. You remember the paper out days, DJ? Man, listen. Look, even though I lived on a block, Washington Marchdown, right? Supposedly. I had 100 houses, and I learned how to flick them newspapers because, you sit up there in the morning when they come in, and before the run, you do that quick fold press, and you stack them all in them bags. Then when Mr. Peabody or whoever comes by, if you don't, I had a bike, but sometimes he'd be like, I need to get these papers because you have extra ones. I'd jump on the side and I'd be flinging this way, he'd be flinging that way. And I made a good little penny because I had the newspaper out and then I had Mary Flannery's art store paid every week. And we're talking about like 1970, 77? Yeah, 77. Making $100. Y'all better. We got our behinds tan. We ate good. We worked hard. Wasn't doing this all day. And listen to a bunch of idiots regurgitating BS. No. And there's a handful of us left. You better be thankful instead of being stupid. Or just go on. It's your choice. Everybody has a choice. Live to the best of your choice. Live in your fictional fake world and love it. Embrace it. Now, I'm getting tired of cursing a whole lot of folk. I'd rather see people live. Anyway, George Jones, An Original History of Ancient America, Elder Mount Classic. And this is where we're at. It can readily be imagined how many stages in the progress of this infanticide would be in the Tyrian nation, as thus, the mother bringing the child and the reception of the priest. Now, the sorrow of the parent and other incidents in analogy with the subject. Literally, there is not a period there, y'all. There is not a friggin' period. Let me go back one more time. What is wrong with that? I better make sure the book I'm writing, I'm gonna make sure everything is best of it. And I'm not gonna trust no ghostwriter. It can readily be imagined how many stages in the progress of this infanticide would be in the Tyrian nation, as thus the mother bringing the child. Now, the reception by the priest and the sorrow of the parent and other incidents in analogy with the subject. Now, it's got to end because it's got a capital T at the beginning with the. The sculpture of the ruined temples at Palenque presents many of the progressive steps towards a consummation of the sacrifice, as thus female figures erect, adorned with jewels and ornaments, each figure with a child in her arms, not in the attitude of receiving a mother's nourishment, but held by the parent in such a manner as if in sorrowful contemplation of her infant victim. Now, the costume also is essentially important, for the Tyrian children were selected from families possessing station, wealth, and power. Very important children to be sacrificed. Other female figures are represented seated and in the most melancholy postures, with downcast heads and looks as if mourning for the loss which had made them motherless. Now, some people have been alluding that the sacrifice were to bring back the old gods. I actually have a book that states that. And it would allude to why would anyone decide to start sacrificing their children? Well, let's keep reading. That's a whole nother subject. In an inner apartment, believed to be the sanctum of a temple, is sculptured in basalt, the resemblance of the dread altar, portraying the entrance of the fiery furnace, for even the bars and grating are distinctly visible. A large and monstrous mask or demonic face is directly above the fire grating. presenting that of the remorseless deity. On either side of the altar furnace and mask of Saturn is stationed a young and an elderly priest of sacrifice, both standing erect upon crushed and prostrate human beings. Now the priests have their hands and arms elevated, and each holds an infant raised up towards the demon deity. Don't that sound like some roots? Let me stop. I'm just messing. Anyway, as if in the act of presenting the victims, the ancients, in parentheses from their mythology, believed that their god, and how would they know that? But anyway, Saturn devoured its own children. Thence the worship and those who sacrificed a child to him. Now, this could be subject for redirecting the minds to know that Saturn is actually a landmass, an earth, a place, to something outside of the primordial ooze. So it's possible. That's why I say pay attention to what I'm reading for those who are in the know. Sacrifice of a child to him. Thence the worship and those who sacrificed the child to him were supposed to be under his peculiar care and guidance. This sculptured mask has a hideous face, distorted eyes, and a ravenous and distended mouth, and his tongue hanging out as if athirst for infant blood, thus presenting a perfect portrait of the child-craving appetite of the demon. It must be evident that the above analogy is a most powerful one. When did the term demon actually come into effect? Does anybody know? Well, if you know, share it. I'll look at it later. It must be evident that the above analogy is the most powerful one, nor have the parallels been strained in order to prove their equi character. The analogy is so strong and apparently so convincing that it cannot fail to reach the mind of the reader with the conviction of their identity. Damn. Wow. Now the sculpture described having reference to stop. The Tyrian. Get your ass out of here. The Tyrian god Saturn is as we have stated, upon the stucco walls of Palenque, and we believe was placed there as a record of a religious custom, practice anterior to the wall. Okay, come here. You want to say hi? Jesus Christ. Say hi. He's looking up at the camera, so what the frick? Okay, there we go. The Tyrian god Saturn is, as we have stated, upon the stuccoed walls of Palenque, and we believe was placed there as a record of a religious custom, practice anterior to the walls being stuccoed. Another piece of sculpture represents the perfect overthrow of this worship by a more sublime religion. What? Which will be shown in the third volume. Okay, thank you. This discovery by us suggested the apparent truth that the temple of Palenque was originally of stone and dedicated to the sun. Now, in parentheses, it says the elliptical stone will prove that. Elliptical, you know what that means. Okay? And that its second area was the stuccoing of the walls. This fact we think can be established to have taken place about 350 years after the temple was first erected. As this subject involves that portion of our history, this mother, which embraces the introduction of Christianity into the Western Hemisphere. All argument to prove the second era in the Temple of Palenque is reserved for that volume, devoted to the interesting and important investigation. And we're going to stop it there because it's starting to get off and teeter off, which is not a problem, and I respect it. But when they start, and you know in the beginning that they're always going to involve the foolishness to keep the conditioned mind satiated. That means satisfied with the lies they have given you. Because I have enough books and information, as you have paid attention, that alludes to Christianity ain't had not a damn thing to do with nothing at that time, period. Because, do I need to recite what Frederick Douglass said, supposedly the Negro from Deutschland, to which he was not? And you know who pushed that? A couple of pale skins, and there's some goofy young Negro that tries to mimic one. I just don't get people to be yourselves and stop with all the identity crisis, okay? Y'all tire me. It's like these wars, stupidity. Really, stupidity at the highest level. You know? King James III, demonology. Bam! King James III. And who was he? Break it down. Arthur Kessler, the 13th tribe, the startling new discovery about the true ancestry of the Ashkenazi, or so-called Jewish people, it will cause a stir by John Barkham Reviews. Now, we know that him and his wife were suicided, supposedly by some heavy barbiturates, as usual. Gog and Magog, all they know is death and war. And then we got some Palestinians who will feel some kind of way because I said, what the have you done? We have invented damn near everything. The Ashkenazis have taken it and perverted it and then sold it off because Einstein didn't invent nothing. I worked there for 2 years. Any of y'all worked at Einstein's building in East Orange, New Jersey? I used to walk all the way from Tishner and jog, just to have a little exercise there and back and sit with two of the oldest people still alive who worked there as children. That's what I thought. And that's not ego or nothing. That's the truth. Ego will make you feel otherwise, to which you know nothing. The frauds. Let's go ahead and read about them. Polyak has proposed an additional hypothesis concerning the early origins of Yiddish. Now, there's a video I'm going to share in Poland where the Polish people were 80% of the Ashkenaz. Actually 100, but the division of subjugation. Not all pale skins are Ashkenazi, but the majority do come from those clans. Not all. Anyway, Polyak has proposed an additional hypothesis concerning the early origins of Yiddish, which deserves to be mentioned, though it is rather problematical. He thinks that the shape of early Yiddish emerged in the Gothic regions of the Khazar Crimea. In those regions, the conditions of life were bound to bring about a combination of Germanic and Hebrew elements hundreds of years before the foundation of the settlements in the kingdoms of Poland and Lithuania. Polyak quotes as indirect evidence a certain Joseph Barbaro of Venice, who lived in Tana, an Italian merchant colony on the Don Estuary, from 1436 to 14. It's always around the time when the first segregation, all the wars and conflicts, and who wrote that his German servant could converse with a Goth from the Crimea, just as a Florentine could understand the language of an Italian from Genoa. As a matter of fact, the Gothic language survived in the Crimea, and apparently nowhere else, at least to the middle of the 16th century. At that time, the Habsburg ambassador in Constantinople, Chilson de Bosbeck, met people from the Crimea and made a list of words from the Gothic that they spoke. Now, in parentheses, it says this Bosbeck must have been a remarkable man, for it was he who first introduced the lilac and tulip from the Levant to Europe. And Polyak considers this vocabulary to be close to the Middle High German elements found in Yiddish. He thinks the Crimean Goths kept contact with other Germanic tribes, and that their language was influenced by them. Whatever one may think of it, it is a hypothesis worth the linguist's attention. Now, you know the little face that they try to whitewash? That's a melanated man, the one who was part of the institutionalizing or the foundation of bringing in. Now, we're not talking about what Franz Boas and all those guys did, but bringing in a melanated original person of the land German. See, a lot of these pale-skinned Germans, they just think they're the original only people. No, you are not the original people of the friggin' land, just like nowhere else. Ashkenazi have no problem with creating wars to fulfill whatever sick disease mind they have. And I'm not talking about all of them. I'm talking about the ones who are considered, who made themselves the elite. And they're not elite nothing. They're in league with a devil. All right? For that loose term, I don't even like the word devil. That's stupid. But anyway, and most people have a hard time understanding this deep thing. No. No. I'm reading. Is that all right? Is it okay? No. No to you. I'm reading. Go jump in the window or something. Anyway. Yeah, leave it right there. There you go. Anyway, he thinks the Crimean Goths kept contact with other Germanic tribes and their language was influenced by them. Whatever one may think of it, it is a hypothesis worth the linguist's attention. In a sense, wrote Cecil Roth, the Jewish Dark Ages may be said to begin with the Renaissance. Early on, and you know what the Dark Ages were really about? I know some of y'all have been given that fade of lie. The coup d'etats, the change of guard, the change of identity, swaps, rewrite of history. And this is fluent all over the earth. Early on, there had been massacres and other forms of persecution during the Crusades, the Black Death. And under other pretexts, but these had been lawless outbreaks of mass violence. Outbreaks, just like here. People in their sleep, and they run through the towns, murdering them. Once we thought was our friends. The sins of the father, don't worry, they're catching up to you. So either you make it right now or keep running your little pie holes. As if you know. But these had been lawless outbreaks of mass violence actively opposed or passively tolerated by the authorities. And from the beginnings of the Counter-Reformation, however, the Jews were legally degraded to not quite human status, in many respects comparable to the untouchables in the Hindu caste system. You know, the ones who, eunuchs, grow boobies, men once a year go and sleep with who have wives. Perversion. Anyway. The few communities suffered to remain in Western Europe, for example, in Italy, Germany, and the Papal possessions in southern France, were subjected to, at last to all of the restrictions which earlier ages had usually allowed to remain an ideal. First, segregation. You know he's not going to say nothing here, I don't think. For example, which had existed on ecclesiastical and other decrees, but had remained on paper. As for instance, in Hungary, see above, volume, okay. Now, however, these ideal ordinances were ruthlessly enforced. Residential segregation, sexual apartheid, and exclusion from all respected positions and occupations. Does that sound familiar? And if you think that Ashkenazi wasn't behind it, they would sacrifice half of their own to accomplish the goals they've accomplished. I'm about ready to do the same damn thing with mine. Anyway, exclusion from all respected positions and occupations, wearing of distinctive clothes, yellow badge, and conical headgear. In 1555, Pope Paul IV, in his bull Cum Nimis Absurdum, insisted on the strict and consistent enforcement of earlier edicts, confining Jews to closed ghettos. A year later, the Jews of Rome were forcibly transferred. All Catholic countries where Jews still enjoyed relative freedom of movement had to follow the example. In Poland, the honeymoon period inaugurated by Casimir the Great had lasted longer than elsewhere, but by the end of the 16th century, it had run its course. The Jewish communities now confined to Tell. Would y'all like for me to share that BS information? Anyway, and ghetto became overcrowded, and the refugees from the Cossack massacres in the Ukrainian villages under Chmyl, I can't even pronounce it. Anybody Russian in here can pronounce that? CHMYL, Elnicky, Chmelsky, I believe. I'll look it up so I can pronounce it correctly, with officials, led to a rapid deterioration of the housing situation and economic conditions. The result was a new wave of massive immigration into Hungary, Bohemia, Romania, and Germany. Bohemia, do you know what that means? It's a black nation. Well, it changed too. And that's facts. When the Jews who had all but vanished with the Black Death were still thinly spread, thus the great trek to the west was resumed. It was to continue through nearly 3 centuries until the Second World War, and became the principal source of the existing Jewish communities in Europe, the United States, and Israel, when its rate of flow slackened, and the programs of the 19th century provided a new impetus. The Second Western Movement, writes Roth, dating the first from the destruction of Jerusalem, which continued into the 20th century, may be said to begin with the deadly Chmelsky, whatever his name is, massacres of Chmelsky. Anyway, I'll learn it. Massacres of 1648-49 in Poland. That's funny because I know that I watched enough videos and I've heard enough information. Maybe it happened twice, but I don't hear of it happening in 1914, 15, 16, 17. I hear of it happening in 1940 something during World War II only. So I think he was attempting to play it safe, but early on he already said enough when he talked about how they stole their identity. And we're going to stop at that. So I think him attempting to clean it up it was not good enough because it shared too much information. Every time you think you hear death, it's the sacrifices they don't mind. Like they were in control of Britannia when they set up out, wanting to create a new land. And before they settled in Palestine, they had 7. And 2 of those before, and all 7 was America and Uganda. It wasn't going to happen here because they know what would have happened. Uganda, please. Some drink. It hydrates you, coconut water, but boy, if it don't make it, when you realize you ain't been hydrated all this time. Oh, that's so good. Coconut water, and it's not a laxative. That's just crazy. Okay, here we go. Behold a Pale Horse, William Cooper. Again, as I was stating, we know that the so-called pilgrims, that story is BS, well, Ashkenazis. They found the most powerful tribes and they wanted to marry into them and for the land and for the prize of making their children. I mean, that's a fact. Just because they don't say it and record it, you think they're going to write it down? Just like the Federal Reserve. What are we doing with a Federal Reserve? There's nothing there. It's a lie. It is to deem control and print paper. But nobody wants to listen to that, especially you Pelicans. Y'all just hate listening to anything we got to say, and yet you don't even know your true history. The majority of you, 75% of you, maybe a little more, your history going back. And listen to me. You can feel however you want. It's not hate. Going back to the 18 and 1900s, you were orphans. Frigging orphans. Your great-great-great-grandparents were friggin' orphans. Not to mention those of you who came over here in the 1920s and 40s. And you run around here with your accents you picked up in all different cities and states. Your people during that time of the 40s murdering ours. Land, the businesses, and everything that's we own. We had the original banks. We were the original police and sheriffs. Everybody always talks about Bass Reeves. Are you aware of about several hundred others? Every time you hear Pinkerton, you know who they were fighting? Y'all don't have a clue about your history. But you sit up on the Zionist Follywoods narrative of Hollywood. When we look at y'all and we say we know you're intelligent and you're smart, we would love to see you rise to the occasion. Right now, y'all got your heads so far stuck up Trump says it's unbelievable. And I can't stand Biden, I can't stand no liberal, that made up crap. Can't make it up, people. So anyway, let's get over here. So here we are. We're still in Behold the Pale Horse Anti-Drug Abuse Act of 1988. So when we last left off, we was talking about, I just want to reiterate this because some of you might not know. I'm not saying hate. I'm saying something for people to snap up out their comas and realize that change can happen. And we can better one another and one up one another. But I got to take my people aside and I got to sit them down and I got to teach them things. That's none of your business. But it will benefit you to just sit there and be quiet. Protect the outskirts. Be good gatekeepers with all that warring in you. This data pool will be shared by Drug Enforcement Administration, FBI, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, IRS, Federal Aviation Commission, U.S. Marshal Service, and U.S. Coast Guard. Now, the Act requires a study of the feasibility of requiring aircraft to carry operating transponders so that they can be tracked in Section 7212, including the intercept. The use of military aircraft is assumed due to the fact that the military is the only agency that has such a capability. Of any aircraft not in a proper flight corridor, Section 7213. Now, the Act requires a study to be made on requiring onboard monitoring devices on commercial motor vehicles to record speed. Sounds familiar? Record speed, driving time, and other information, Section 9101. It further requires the utilization of existing government laboratory facilities in Departments of Defense, Justice, Energy, National Security Agency, CIA, FBI to develop technologies for federal law enforcement not limited to drug enforcement, Section 6163 and 7605. You know, you walk to the airport, you can sniff out whether you have bombs or drugs on you, machines. All the vehicles now, most of them have cameras all around them. Now, before he was murdered, none of this stuff existed. This would include night vision, in parentheses, Fort Belvoir, Virginia, ground sensor and communications electronics, Fort Mon, Jersey, physical electronic security, Hansonville, Massachusetts, imaging electronic surveillance, CIA and NSA, Washington, D.C., chemical biosensor research and development, Aberdeen, Maryland, chemical molecular research, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and physical electronic surveillance and tracking. Shoot a gun. Let's see if they can't ping where it came from and how quick they'll be on you. FBI, Washington, D.C. Now, D.C., that 10 miles, how many acres? They can't write laws. It's illegal. Nobody's paying attention to this. If they were, all these ex-police officers and this, that, and other would be like, wait a minute. Hold up. Wait a minute. Let me put my 2 cents in it. An explosive ordinances detection, Indian Head, Maryland, to which that's where it came out of, right? The act calls for the expenditure of $120 million for the Bureau of Justice Statistics, a national clearinghouse of data from federal, state, and local criminal justice agencies, Section 6092. Grant money will be made available for state and local agencies to hook into the data system, Section 6101, /1301, and gun sellers will have to check for a buyer's police record. Section 6213. Gun sellers will have to check for a buyer's police record. Now, the act includes a special note from the Attorney General to include domestic violence information in the system. Section 7609. Maybe they want to recruit them. In Russia, they have a group of men who went to Syria to fight. These were inmates, over 40,000. We're talking about some kind of badasses, mercenaries, no badges, no flags, no nothing, killing indiscriminately. And the Syrians who they were helping, if the ones who didn't want to fight ran, these Russian bastards would torture and do some of the most horrendous, like cartel type shit. Pretty sick. But thank goodness America went there and started dropping bombs and destroyed damn near most of them. And that one I will give a pass. My sources have informed me that the New World Order plans to execute any person who has exhibited any degree of violence during his or her life. A fist fight while in the service would qualify you. They believe that violence is hereditary, and this could mean execution of family members as well. Violence, to get rid of violence. What do you think they're going to do with those individuals? Now, this act calls for a study of the feasibility of establishing an international criminal court, World Court, Section 4108. Dude, you're not getting no punani, man. Ain't got no girl cat for you, bro. I'm not. That's why I don't give you catnip, man. I'm like, wow. You want to go outside? I know. You come on, come on up. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on, Papa. You going up again? Go. You think I'm gonna put up there? You didn't need them. Come on, put them little hard parts to work, man. Anyway, an international criminal court would have no jurisdiction or authority over any citizen of the United States of America. United States of America. It's like African American. Ain't no such thing. Unless we surrender our sovereignty to the New World Order. No weapons are to be allowed in federal buildings, up to 1 year imprisonment for carrying a weapon into any federal facility. And the only exception is a pocket knife, but only if the blade is less than 2.5 inches long. I remember in Florida when they told us we couldn't walk around with a knife in our pocket over 2.5 inches. Man, I was like, y'all bug. I was walking around with a David Crockett. Now, the act has authorized postal authorities to serve warrants, subpoenas, make arrests, carry firearms, and make seizures in matters involving use of mails. Y'all hear that, Tolo and original Lone Wolf Brothers? Anyway, that's section 6251. The post office department is a private corporation and is not a part of the federal government. How can they be allowed to function as federal police if they are not federalized? Are post office employees destined to become a part of the National Police Force? It is now illegal to mail or send locksmith equipment to anyone but a locksmith, Section 302. Many common tools can be classified as locksmith equipment. Now, the act legalizes the arming of aircraft in other countries for defensive purposes and drug control, as in Section 4202. Now, say again now, check this out. If this had been in existence a few years ago, the Iran-Contra affair would have been legal, with only a statement that the arms were for defensive purposes and drug control. Wow. That's enough of this. God, oh man. These people is crazier than a motherfucker, man. Excuse my French, y'all. Y'all know I ain't want to be all that cursing. But god dog, man, they crazy. There's something really seriously wrong with them, y'all. And nobody's paying attention to these little things that you can see right now. As if he was conspiracy theorist. Man. But I kind of enjoy this, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm not so. Y'all don't really know, but I'm kind of enjoying it. See, I say least. Let me give a shout out and we're going to be done here. God, dog, what? God, Rondo, what's going on, beloved? Herbo, what's happening, beloved? Hey, Margarita, what's going on, hun? Where's the old puppy doc? DJ, what's cracking, family? Mikey Hill, my sword. Yeah. All right. Original Lone Wolf, what's going on, beloved? Yes, sir. Great. Well, there you is, yo, Snagger too. What's going on? Grand elevations, beloved. Much love, family. Lord, what's going on, beloved? What's happening, man? What's going on? Oh, the greetings, boy. Y'all know how I feel about these greetings, boy. Let me look over here at the camera. I love them. I love it. It's so much. You may want to break mine down. There you go. Seeing that? Relax, Papa. Little big bro, relax. Paper boy, paper sons. Remember those paper route days? Yeah, I was a paper boy. I was a paper son. Yeah, I was a paper boy. Mr. Bean, he was from the Caribbean, man. He had a route with about 4 of us, man. I know I was delivering about 100, 150 papers every day. Some people was funky, man. They didn't want to pay. Some people, I think, dead and just it piled up, and we had to go and stop, Moose and B ran. It was going to be okay. Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on, beloved? How are you, hon? Oh, God's on all idols connected. Pearl, greetings, beloved. How are you? Yes. All right. 1 minute. Thank you. EnglishStockExchange.com. Thank you, Lord. I'm definitely going to tap on once this uploads. Whoever Hebrew, Romanized, Tiberian is strength is the fifth Sephirim of the Kabbalistic tree of life, and is the second of the emotive attributes of. Yeah. Too bad it's not our true language. Theirs, but that's pretty awesome. Sri Santara, that's right. Peace and love always. I can't stand war. I can't stand violence. I can't stand none of it. But you need to be prepared. And if you're not, be quiet. Thank you. The Chazar elites, right? Hey, Tians, what's good, beloved? Hey, Tia, what's going on, beloved? Russia, I only know one person that spoke Russian. Wow, I know a whole bunch of them over here. They be always trying to get me to refresh, and I'm like, in the days when I was training to do something, and the SEER guys was always practicing Russian, I had to learn a little bit, enough to get around. And yes, misled by exactly. Everybody's enslaved. But you can be free. I'm not enslaved to nothing. So to you, I can dig it. Earth, the cube, water, fire. We always say water, earth, wind, and fire. How about the ether? I'm just giving you a little something extra. The ether. Earth, wind, water, fire, ether. The seed of sin, reincarnation, unworthy spirits, seeds of sin. That makes sense. Yeah, but the word sin, you need to look into that. Because no seed, the composite of the egg, is sinful. As far as the dynamic of that. That's why I always say, Jannah, darkness. That's all it is. A misplacement. An apparition of sorts that can be considered many things. Hawa. If you want to say Allah, Hawa is the light. It needs no subjugation or explanation. We have become too embodied in false theologies and theories. We have been conscripted in to all these technocracy and nonsense. Everything of order is very simplistic. Like pouring water on a rock. People will look at you and say, that's crazy. I say, but the trees are watered. Why not the rocks? Aren't the rocks part of the earth? And they contemplate, It's not complicated, people. You are not a slave to the body. That's right. You are sentient. You are beyond the physical. Even your body, they say, is carbon with silica, heavy water, and everything. That is crystalline, no matter how it looks. Doesn't have to be believed. It should be researched. Then why did the spirit, after taking the sin, life seed, say, I am naked? That's not how it worked. Why would someone then have to say, I am naked? It's not how it happened. That's made up. That is not how it happened. Not at all. That is to divert and subjugate people's minds to a mental incompetency, to have them beat themselves up in the peril of the dexterity of foolish endeavors we deal with now. If I want you to blame yourself to feel depression and things that never existed, I must what? First create the atmosphere. And what is the first thing to do? To make sure that you are aware of a religion or an idea. And then what I have to do is consummate you with it. So therefore, when something happens, you will look at yourself and you will feel lowly. You won't rise to the occasion of what you and who you truly are. Depression, sadness, this, that, and the other, suicide, and all that nonsense. Because you have been grafted into a lie instead of accepting your truth because you've never been nurtured into your truth. We're here to wake you up. Theory I know it's between DJ, but you got to look at it. It's not theory. It's you either know or you don't know. The magic bullet was accepted by fools who thought that was based upon a theory, to which was incredulously foolish that anybody accepted it, and how they were able to continue to do what they do today. You know what I'm saying? Quaya, yes, a being man. The maker, a shaper. 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons. That's right. Hawa Khan. Very true. Be mindful. If you don't know something, be mindful. The puzzle pieces. And because some of you don't know how these languages or don't research this stuff, you should never shut yourself, because then that allows you to be ignorant, to which you want to alleviate yourself from. Everybody can be in the knowledge and know. Not everybody's meant to teach and know the same thing either. But when somebody's embarking on this place of transparency and what their knowledge is, you should accept that. Now, it's not like saying you're running over there to the hippie commune and you're looking at people on, popping LSD and, singing Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. No, we're a different consortium. I will only fear and tolerate certain people. And he, DJ, and a number of other people is who I hold that curriculum with. So you're invited and welcome in. Do not shun what you do not know based on the subtle ignorance of the world you lived in. Broaden your mind, your horizon. There's no hell bops here, and definitely ain't no damn Guyana tragedy, Jim Jones. We're not into that. We're about elevating ourselves in our ancestral ways and knowing the world we live in that everybody's been subverted to in the lies. Yes, free will. We all have a choice. And I get it, though. It can be conflicting and confusing. I respect and I can empathize with many people how hard it is to come into this and say, man, that's some crazy sounding stuff. But if you allow yourself to look deeper in yourself and just pay attention for a little while, you don't have to be subjected to anything we say or anybody else say. You can find things within you. That's right, love and respect. Look, I got to get over here. We crossed the hour. And my cousin June just sent me something. I got a notification. It's nothing but love, my beloved sisters and my brothers, 2 on 1. And you can still donate $2, man. God dog, man. Thank you, my 2 beloveds, for that 14. I appreciate y'all, 14 and 10. Thank you so much. And it's actually it's charging. It was down to 2%. Okay. And we gotta, you judge yourself, and we gotta move beyond that, right, DJ? I'm out, y'all. It's been great. Love y'all.